having said all that, all you need to know is kharaja is a verb. Verbs, here's a little tip. Verbs do not accept alif and lam. And verbs also do not accept tanween. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مرحبا بكم أيها الطلاب الكرام. سنبدأ اليوم بالدرس الرابع الجزء السابع. Today we're going to take lesson 4, part 7. And I know this has been going on for a little more than we wanted, but at the very least, we're going to benefit greatly from this lesson because there are a lot of new additions to this lesson. Especially today, because today we get to introduce verbs. So if you look at the bottom of page 24, well, not the bottom, but towards the bottom, we got to where it says Aina Abbasun. So you should be seeing this. And I hope you guys have been practicing your vocabulary because we're going to increase what we take from vocabulary now. He says, Aina Abbasun, and then the next word is a word we have not seen before. It says, kharaja. What does kharaja mean? We've not taken that. It doesn't end with a tanween. There's not some harf jar in front of it to where, it might affect this. It doesn't have alif and lam. Why is this word in this form? You've just been introduced to af'al. Af'al means verbs. So, kharaja. This one word has one word that is visible and one that is hidden, but it's immediately implied. It means huwa. We know what huwa means. It means he. So in Arabic we say kharaja huwa. Well, do we actually say this? No, we don't, but it is a hidden pronoun that is already and always there and it's not supposed to be written. Kharaja huwa doesn't need to be said. You say kharaja. That automatically means he, and what does that word mean? He went out. He exited. He left. All of that is kharaja. Okay? As for the one doing this action, it's here. Someone might ask, what if we say huwa kharaja? Because you've already told us that kharaja already means he went, but there was no word here. What if we say huwa kharaja? Is this still implied here? And the answer is yes. It's still there, but you don't write it. And there's a lot of grammatical rules involved here. But all you need to know is that it is more proper. I shouldn't say more proper, but I should say you should not put huwa here unless you're trying to emphasize this action. If I was asked, where is Abbas? Aina Abbas? And somebody said, huwa kharaja. I wanted to emphasize that he left. This is a very appropriate sentence. And there are sentences like that where the pronoun comes first and then the verb in the Quran. So there is absolutely no way to say this is an improper sentence or it's a sentence that doesn't have a high level of literacy. But if you are just going to say it without the meaning of emphasis, then here some will consider it that it is inappropriate and it's a form of, like bad language. Okay, so all we want to say, having said all that, all you need to know is kharaja is a verb. Verbs, here's a little tip. Verbs do not accept alif and lam. And verbs also do not accept tanween. Verbs do not accept tanween. And verbs don't accept alif and lam. And there are other things. There are other rules that or other tips that tell you that the word before you is a verb. But for now, just remember those two. We mentioned one before where we said that harf jar doesn't come in front of it. So that's another one for you. Bottom line, what you want to get out of here with is not a list of rules. You want to know how to use that word. Somebody comes to you and says, أين المدرس? Where's the teacher? You want to emphasize, you say, المدرس خرج. المدرس خرج. Past tense verbs, they usually follow this scale, this wazn, this form. And they have like a base form that they use. And they always use these letters, fa, ayn, lam. And really what we want to look at is the harakat. These harakat, they match the ones on the top. So they say, this is called the fa of the kalima, the fa of the word. When they say fa, obviously that's a kha. They're referring to this first word. The fa of the kalima has a kha. The ayn of the kalima has a fatha. Right? I think I just said the fa of the kalima has a kha. That's wrong. And we're not going to delete it. We're just going to move past it. So when I said the fa of the kalima, they're referring to this kha has a fatha. The ayn of the kalima has a fatha. This second letter has a fatha. When they say the lam of the kalima, it has a fatha. Why did I tell you all this confusing information? Well, it's because not all past tense verbs are going to be fatha, fatha, fatha. All right? Some of them might be karuma. Ka-ru-ma. Fatha, dhamma, fatha. Okay? Some of them might say shariba. Fatha, kasra, fatha. But you are noticing something that is very common, very, very common for past tense verbs to be three-letter words. All right, now what I'm going to do, now that you have the grammar and rule section out of the way, let's take some understanding. I always like to take, as I told you guys before, two words together so it helps me remember. So we're going to say kharaja, just like this. Who's the one doing the action? He went out. If I put a name here, kharaja Zaydun, is he still there? Not anymore. Now it's Zayd. So you removed that implied pronoun and you replaced it with a visible one. So kharaja Zaydun now means Zayd has went out. Zayd has exited. Zayd has left. Not left as in your left hand, but he's gone out. Okay? And here's the opposite of kharaja. Dakhala. If this means he exited or he left, dakhala means he entered. Dakhala Zaydun. So today you're learning how to say he went out and he entered. Now it's not there, and there are a few other things I want to share with you, but it's very, very important to get verbs down from the very beginning and don't let them intimidate you. Kharaja Zayd, dakhala Zayd. Now here's one more thing that we have to go over. By changing where the person is doing the action, this individual here, Zayd, we don't want to say Zaydun second. We want to say Zaydun first. Zaydun kharaja. This sentence means the exact same thing as that sentence. And you can use them any way. In English, you can't do that. You can't say Zayd went out and then try to change it and say went out Zayd. It doesn't work like that in English. But in Arabic, you can say that. You can say Zaydun dakhala. Now, I know there's a lot of stuff on the board. Just keep an eye on where these guys were. Over here was kharaja Zayd, which meant Zayd left. Dakhala Zayd, which means Zayd entered. Over here it was Zaydun kharaja. It still means the same thing. Zayd went out. Zayd left. Zayd exited. Zaydun dakhala. It's still the same thing. Zayd entered. Now, for the grammar fans, you said, wait a minute. We remember specifically you saying the one who does the action has to come after. Okay? Does that mean that kharaja, the implied pronoun, is still back there? Is he back again? And the answer is yes, he is back. Because from a grammar point of view, the one doing this action has to come after. Okay? And that is the only difference between the two. In the first one, it's what they call a jumla fi'liya. We're not going to take too long on that. It just means a verbal sentence. Jumlatun fi'liyatun. And that means that the first word in the sentence is a verb, like when it said kharaja Zaydun. And verbal sentences are made up of fi'l and fa'il. It's made up of somebody or the verb and somebody doing that verb. So what's this sentence? This sentence is not jumla fi'liya, but rather, and we're going to wrap up our lesson in a second, it is called jumlatun ismiya, which means a nominal sentence, and that just simply means that the first word in the sentence is a noun. And these kind of sentences are made up of a mubtada and I was going to write al-khabar. We'll just write khabar. Okay? A subject and a predicate. Mubtada and khabar. Now, I know we spent a lot of times on grammar today, but I want you guys to leave here knowing how to say he went out and he entered. Kharaja Zayd and dakhala Zayd. Just keep that in mind, and we're going to move through the examples a little quicker in the next lesson, and we'll conclude with that. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Always make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aids you and strengthens you, and say, Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima allamtana wa zidna ilman wa ila al-liqa.